Hey everyone, it's Mr. Silbaugh here, and this is my take on Unit 9, Lesson 7. So in the last lesson, we started getting our introduction to mobile design, and we talked a little bit about the basics and fundamentals of mobile websites and mobile design. So you need to think about your mobile device users. They're going to be growing in number as time goes on, and the number of people accessing your content solely from just a mobile device is going to be increasing over the next few years. Remember, a poorly designed website on a mobile device is a missed opportunity. Your people are going to be more likely to pass your website up if they can't find the information that they need quickly. You need to consider all of the factors needed to make your website better for mobile users. So you need to think about your mobile users and think about mostly yourselves, because I know you guys are all young and you know what you're going to be looking for when you go on a mobile website and what you need to be looking for. So think about whenever you go on a website for something on your phone, what you're looking for and how do you find it quickly. So this whole section for today talks about mobile apps versus dedicated mobile websites versus responsive design websites. There's three huge things to unpack here in the next several slides. I think all but one of the next, I think the next two slides, in addition to this one, are all just on these three topics. So you need to ask yourself what's better. And this is not a simple, easy to answer question. So the first one is mobile apps. And this is probably one that you guys are all familiar with. These are standalone applications that are downloaded to a device. We know this. They access the internet if they need to, and some of them are dependent on internet access. And everything's done within that mobile app. Think of your favorite mobile apps like Instagram, Snapchat, even like the Dunkin' app or the Starbucks app. They all are dependent on the internet, but everything that you do on those apps is done in the app. You don't go outside of them unless they need to take you outside of them. Then there's mobile websites. Mobile websites, those are lower versions of traditional websites. These are the ones that, if you go on, let's say Facebook. I know you guys aren't going on Facebook, but just pretend, or Twitter. When you type in Twitter or Facebook on your phone in your web browser, either Google Chrome, Safari, whatever you're using, whenever you type in those websites, it's going to take you to the mobile version. And usually the way that you can tell it's a mobile version is if you type in like the website, it will say m dot, then the website, or it'll say mobile dot, and then the website name. That's how you know you're using a mobile version of the website. Those are specifically designed to be used on mobile devices. You can still access them on a regular computer, you just need to know what the traditional website address is. And the next is responsive design. Responsive design websites are designed to function on all screen sizes and resolutions, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's really a matter of your preference, what you're most comfortable with, and your goals. Like, do you want to develop a standalone app just to do something, or do you want to develop a mobile version of your website in addition to a regular version of your website? Or do you want to make a website that includes additional code? It's really up to you and what you're most comfortable with and what the goals of either you are trying to accomplish for yourself or for your client or for your company, whatever you may want. So you really need to think about it before you actually dive into this. So picking the best. In the past few years, HTML5 and their APIs, we talked about that in the last unit, they made it easier to make more unique pages for mobile users. We talked about some of the API tools, and so a lot of those have come into play with mobile device usage. There's an advantage of using mobile apps because it's a cross-platform usability. What that essentially is saying that with mobile websites, you do not need to worry about them working in web browsers. Like, it's not dependent on a specific web browser. The app is just the app. It will work on whatever device it's downloaded onto. One of the advantages to the other two is that the user does not need to download an app or wait for the download. So that's an advantage to responsive design and mobile websites, because if you're relying on an app, then the user has to have that app. They have to download it. They have to find it. Like, there's a lot to it. So you need to think about that as well. Additionally, responsive websites may have different rankings in search engines and may cause the full site to rank lower than the responsive design website. So that's nothing major, but it's something to think about, that when you search for a website, the mobile version of the website might be more popular than the regular version. So it's something to keep in mind. However, mobile apps are designed and built for specific mobile systems. You need to keep that in mind as well. Programming languages are used to make the app, and no web browser is usually required. So that's one of the benefits and positives of it. You're developing it for specific mobile systems. They're not required to go outside of the app. Everything can be done within the app. As for the website option, mobile websites and responsive design websites continue to coexist. Responsive design is more modern, and that will most likely become the main choice because of the fact that what it essentially is, depending on the size of your screen, if you were to adjust the size of the screen, it would switch between a mobile view and a regular full view. So that's what responsive design really means. This is going to happen with change, as most major websites actually have both. Some websites are choosing to have both, where their regular full-fledged website is a responsive design website, and their mobile website is separate. So you have to think about those as well. Do you want to do both? And that could be a matter of coding as well. Mobile app design is how we'll end this part of this lesson, talking about some of the basics of mobile apps. It's much different than web design. Apps use the full programming language, and we don't use HTML, CSS in it. So apps use full programming language, and they use what's called an integrated development environment. It's a special software for programming. And then you need to think of your platform. Do you want to design it for Apple users? Do you want to design it for Android users? Or do you need to design it for both? Because both use different things. Apple apps are use what's called Objective-C, whereas Android apps are written in Java primarily, though some other options are used. That's another thing to think about, is if you decide to design a mobile a mobile app, do you need to design for both types of users? And that also takes some time as well. Like, it's not necessarily just done in a day where you can copy and paste everything into one thing. Okay. So thinking about it, you need to spend some time on what the best choice is. So in conclusion, when you're designing a website for mobile users, it's not just a matter of making a website. You have to think about what's going to be best, what meets your goals. You can create an app, a mobile website, a responsive design website. You can end up creating all three, so you need to think about that. Responsive design is most likely the future of mobile device browsing. This is true. Some people still prefer apps, but it's really dependent on what the user is going to want and what the person who's going to be accessing your content is going to want as well. All right, that's going to do it for this lesson.